Hi, I'm trumpeter Chris Botti, and you're watching the 24-Hour Podcast.
T-minus 4, 3, 2, 1.
Following is a 24 Hours podcast.
The horn of Chris Botti. Chris, it's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Likewise.
Is it safe to say you've kind of brought sexy back to trumpet?
Justin Timberlake, eat your heart out, right? I don't know. That's for someone else to say. I certainly think that I've been lucky, and things have lined up certainly in the last 4 or 5 years for me in a big kind of crossover sort of way, to be able to reach a large, massive audience in North America especially. And so that puts me in a league kind of with not a lot of competition. So then people start throwing stuff like that at me, and it's very nice.
Your music, obviously, I'm guessing Miles Davis was an inspiration for you. Okay.
As he should be to everyone.
Absolutely. Now, every trumpet player has their heroes. Who else is there? Were you a Chet Baker fan, a Maynard Ferguson fan?
I'm primarily a Canuck fan, actually.
Wow, well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. And after that, then Miles Davis would be second,
Mm-hmm.
and then. But I like all the great trumpet players: Freddie Hubbard,
Yeah.
Chet Baker, Lee Morgan, Clifford Brown, Kenny Dorham. But I think because Miles had a vision beyond just being a trumpet player. In other words, he had an incredible band. He made incredible conceptual records. He surrounded himself with the best engineers and arrangers, historically speaking, and made mood records. And he wasn't afraid also to play with an incredible amount of restraint. A lot of artists want to just kind of take a snapshot of what they're doing in a club, and they think it's going to translate into an environment where 2 or 4 or 10 people are listening to it, something like that, more intimate space. And I think that's one of the things that sets jazz back, And if you look at Miles Davis's, certainly his 2 most successful records, Kind of Blue and Sketches of Spain, they're all incredibly reserved, beautiful records. So I love that about Miles's career, because he wasn't afraid to stretch out, and he wasn't also afraid to make these popularized, beautiful, artistic records, and that sets him apart from the other people that might have been just kind of doing a record on the side or doing a record to support a habit or something like that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of beautiful, artistic, themed albums, you've gotten a great one here, Italia. What was the inspiration behind that?
Sketches of Spain was taken.
Sketches of Spain. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
It was already taken, so we couldn't go patent that one. I obviously inspired by that, but also this record certainly crosses the boundaries into classical music a bit, somewhat. And so it features a part of my trumpet playing which I'm quite fond of. That's kind of that more broad, open classical trumpet playing, and then certainly back into the moody stuff as well. But it's all sort of moody, romantic look at the music of Italy and the romance of Italy. And I just had a blast doing it. It's very varied, like from the Nessun Dorma all the way to a new song, a duet with Andrea Bocelli, which is called Italia, and is written with David Foster here from Canada.
Now, I want to talk about one track in particular. I've grown accustomed to her face. Now, you recorded that, I understand, at the Capitol Building in Hollywood in the same studio where Dean Martin.
Yeah, basically, I make my records at that studio, there and in a place in London where we record with the orchestra. But the Dean Martin estate knew we were kicking around mixing our album and asked us to be part of a tribute to Dean. So what you're hearing is Dean Martin's vocal from 1957 in the same room. Everything else recorded in 2007, and released in 2007.
So how cool was that?
Well, I mean, it was the phone call. The original phone call was kind of met with, "Are you kidding me?" And then, "Can it work?" The main thing is that you hear some of these, tribute posthumously done musical collaborations, and sometimes for me they sonically don't work. It just sounds like something's completely from left field, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think because we recorded it in the same room with a lot of the same equipment, the same environment, that it kind of holds together sonically for me, and that kind of gave it a thread, and then it was a blast to put it on the record. And we originally weren't even going to put it on the record for Italia. Obviously, when they called us and asked to do it, and once we did it, and then we were like, boy, this would be just a perfect fit for the album to give it a little kind of a smile on the record, and it worked great.
I want to ask you about, you've had many dream gigs. But you actually got invited to Michael and Lauren's wedding on The Young and the Restless. How did you hook that up?
That's hilarious. Of all the great things I've done on stage with other artists and dream gigs that I would call dream, that's the one you pull out of the hat. It's pretty cool.
Were you a fan of the show?
Not really.
Okay.
They approached us. I was certainly a fan after I met the people in the cast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think when you go to places like that, when you go to if you ever get the chance to like go into an inner working of a band or an off-Broadway show or a Broadway show or a TV show, it's all kind of, they can be all kind of cliquey and weird and stuff like that. And those people were just fantastic, really, really nice. And we were there for a day, and we played an old composition by Michel Colombier and a new kind of interpretation for me on trumpet called Emmanuel. And it really did a lot of good things for my career.
Well, I mean to say, there have been many good things in your career, but that was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, it was. It was.
You
never know. That's the thing with television. You never know how things. The big time things. Like doing Oprah. That's going to be a great show. But sometimes you roll into these things and you don't really have any expectations. And I think we went in because they were such nice people, and we thought, this would be a great thing. And then we looked at the people that actually saw the thing. Not knowing much about, because I'm always on an airplane when the daytime television stuff is on. So. It's not that I wouldn't watch the show, but it's just I'm always gone,
It's a great album, Chris. I tell you. Congratulations once again, and enjoy Vancouver.
All right, go Canucks.
24hours.ca